Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are finding yourself for the first time on this channel, every single day we are committed to bringing you a video just like this one to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets, and that's a large part of what we do. We synthesize multiple different markets to help us come to the conclusions that we have on where our very small but extremely significant and to become infinitely more significant market is heading. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to start the video off with a clip from CNBC that recently did an interview with Brian Kelly. And I want to start the video off because he brings up some interesting points in regards to the Bitcoin ETF, how this is being priced, and what he expects more broadly. And this is very much in line with a lot of the things that we've been looking at. If you look at the interest rate pricing for next year, you can see the first 25 basis point rate cut coming in on March's meeting, which I think is March the 20th. So we will look at that. Let's start the video off here, and then we're going to cover a whole list of things. We did say Bitcoin may take a bit of a break, having reached our inverse head and shoulders targets that we had for it at the start of the year. We might fly through some crypto stocks. We're going to look at El Salvador's Bitcoin portfolio that's now in the money, along with Michael Saylor's, and a few other things in between and thereabouts. So, as promised, let's kick the video off with this clip from CNBC this morning on their Fast Money show with this individual talking about Bitcoin, the ETF. He's citing it coming in at sort of the 5th of January and everything in between. Let's get into it.
Obviously, you're long. You're very bullish.
Yes.
Has anything changed in terms of the trajectory of the move higher?
No, not really. I mean, certainly. So this move is really built on this anticipation of an ETF, probably January 5th to January 10th. So as it gets higher, as a trader, of course, I'm going to get a little scared because you're saying how much of that is already priced in. We're getting pretty close to that. But in terms of the longer-term trajectory for Bitcoin, I think you just have to think of it as we're in this, let's call it 1 to 2 year bull market period. We'll have these pullbacks. Even in 17, when we had a massive run, we had months that it was down 30, 40%. So you just have to keep that in mind.
So January 5th to 10th, it seems like it's all downside. It's like you have the sell the news or the disappointment. So how do you position into that?
I mean, I think you're long going into it, and then you start layering out of it as you get towards the end of the year. So let's call it over the next week or so. At least that's the strategy we're going to employ.
Okay, and then the reaction, in sympathy from the other coin. I mean, will there be a sympathy move too?
Yeah, so generally what we've seen in bull markets is about a month after Bitcoin moves, it starts to go to the altcoins. So we saw Ethereum break out last night, and then Solana, and then it starts to go down the list. And so that's what I would anticipate, let's call it January or so.
BK, good to have you here. Say hi to Brian, by the way.
Yeah,
a lot of this move has coincided or coincident with the fact that 5 rate cuts apparently are priced in for next year. Every time we pull them forward, Bitcoin seems to take a leg up. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, I think it's a macro tailwind. We've been fighting the macro headwind for almost 2 years now, right? Rising rates, stronger dollar, all of that. The Fed's probably done. Europe has got a real problem on their hands. China's got a massive problem on their hands. And Japan is unlikely to tighten. So when I look at global liquidity, I think, yeah, short gold, Bitcoin, both of them are going to do well in this environment.
Very much echoing a lot of the things that we've been saying and technically proving now for a while. So that's the game plan, guys. And ultimately, I thought the points that he brought up about the Bitcoin ETF were very valid. The move in Bitcoin has, of course, a lot to do. The fundamental narrative is the ETF narrative that was technically signaled. Remember, we did run into this head and shoulders target that we made, that we were projecting from the start of the year. Just to draw it rather roughly, we have successfully made that target. And when you make a target, I would expect some sort of resistance or pullback to take place. However, remember, this is a bull market. And then I love what he sort of echoed in regards to the broader markets. I'm going to pull up the Fed Watch tool. So the CME Fed Watch tool, where they are now looking at the first rate cuts actually coming in March. So this is the CME Fed Watch tool. This is essentially interest rate pricing. You can see the next meeting this month is priced to keep interest rates where they are. The one after that in January, again, rates where they are, but we are seeing a bit more of a percent swing towards a rate cut. And then, of course, in March, actually, the probability is in the favor of a rate cut taking place. And you can see as we progress in the year, that's likely to continue. So the beautiful thing about what we do on this channel and these updates is we don't just cover crypto, we cover broad markets and we synthesize them. Stock market, we've absolutely killed. Gold, of course, had a really epic move yesterday to new all-time highs. Very harsh slap in the face. However, we do think that that is a triggering event that's going to lead to further upside. We have predictions in the $3,000 for gold. There's fundamental narratives with rates there. There's fundamental narratives with why Bitcoin's going to do well, and technical when you look at it against the likes of gold. And certainly the stock market is going to benefit from that sunshine in the same way that gold will, crypto will, and risk generally will. And of course, we've looked at the dollar, which is a large part of risk on, risk off, and everything correlate. So it's all systems go right now, and I'm going to be producing a number of videos over the coming weeks in regards to what I think the next big thing in crypto is. We aren't going to beat around the bush. It is, in my opinion, decentralized computing. If you look at how, if you look at the world we're moving towards, it's going to be a totally digital, computerized world, and there's going to be a lot of compute that's needed for that. And cloud computing is already massive. It's an industry that's set to exponentially grow, and some of the largest companies in the world are literally based off of that. Look at Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, all of these things. And there's cryptos that do that. And in the same way that Bitcoin decentralized money, you know, you've now got this real consolidation and centralization with the likes of Amazon and these 5 big companies. We are going to, I think, see a real narrative to decentralizing these. And there's going to be cryptos that are massive beneficiaries of that. And if you want to find out what they are and get ahead of the curve, do consider becoming a Patreon and getting on board with that. You know, we had a meeting that we did yesterday, which you'll be able to get access to once you join. Let's move on now to a little bit of other news. So the game plan is still the game plan for Bitcoin and crypto. El Salvador's Bitcoin investment is back. So this is now in the green. And essentially this is a really good sign. You know, you can see this is there just about in the green. Michael Saylor saw a similar thing. We've actually been looking a lot at the likes of MicroStrategy. Of course, we gave everybody Coinbase at the start of this year. MicroStrategy looks beautiful. This is something that we projected for a while. And ultimately, it's following the course that we've set out for it. And we've been so right. You know, we could go through a number of crypto stocks. You know, GBTC was something I've had a lot of success trading this year. We've got even the likes of, let's see, is this Grayscale's? This is the Solana Trust. This is their digital large cap fund. You know, this is all progressing beautifully in the manner and the direction that we want it to. You know, there's a number of correlating things here. The bears at this point are really just saying, oh, well, you know, look at TikTok and other things where people are crying about the cost of living and stuff like this, where the economic data really doesn't support that. I do think there are issues, but they're issues that I think will come to a boiling point later on. And this is the real question that we've hopefully answered is, what do the markets do in the meantime? If we also look at CoinShares funds, they are continuing to see inflows, which is a very positive sign. Robinhood, which was one of the stocks that we actually assessed as a stage 1, I believe, potentially moving into a stage 2. You know, this could be basing out some big upticks. I think, was it Snap or was it Spotify that we also looked at that's done very well for us recently? Yeah. Another stock pick of ours. You know, this is the beautiful thing again about what we do as a channel. We don't just educate you on crypto, we educate you on the markets as a whole. We do our best and hopefully educate you guys. You know, I'm not the world's best trader or investor, but I'm somebody that's, you know, very genuine and on the ball with a lot of these things, and certainly been making some pretty epic calls over the course of the 4 years that I've been in the crypto space. We don't get everything right. Let's move on to a little bit of SEC news. The SEC is coming under some serious fire. The US Supreme Court could reshape the SEC's power and how the agency approaches crypto. A defendant sued the SEC after the agency took him to trial in its own court system. Now it's up to the Supreme Court to decide that system's constitutionality. A Supreme Court case could change the way the SEC works. Following a 2011 investigation, the SEC sued hedge fund founder George Jarkissi for securities fraud, alleging he inflated asset prices to boost his own management fees by the SEC. So this is very interesting. And the reason that I bring this up is because we actually published an article over at Allincrypto. Now, Allincrypto.com in 2024 will become the website for you to go to stay up to date on everything news related. We'll be ahead of the curve on all that. For you to continue to watch prices, and you can create your own lists here and create your own account. And also, you may have noticed this little tab up here. And I'm not going to say too much. We've not officially announced anything yet, but we will be doing that very soon. And we recently covered yesterday a story that the judge accused the SEC of false claims in a crypto case. So the introduction to this is, in a groundbreaking development, a federal judge has accused attorneys from the SEC of presenting false and misleading evidence to obtain a temporary restraining order against digital licensing operating as Debtbox, a crypto company. This case highlights the ongoing tension between regulatory authorities and the burgeoning crypto sector. The incident raises serious questions about the methods used by the SEC in regulating crypto firms and protecting investors. Do you feel protected by the SEC, ladies and gentlemen? And if you look at the coins that they've gone after, when you look at the amount of scams that are out there that they've kind of not even mentioned, it's rather ironic. And if you look at the disasters that's happened in the crypto, they haven't protected against even a single one of those. So I personally think the SEC is losing spectacularly in the crusade that they are on, and they're going to continue to do so. And ultimately, this industry will become... It is already becoming recognized as an asset. A Bitcoin ETF is the first through the door, then you're going to get Ethereum ETFs. You know, the individual actually mentioned something very interested, and if you become a patron, you will find out our method for altcoins and when we think they're going to rock and roll, which we do give hints to. This is technically a beautiful chart for us, and it's something we've been following that's going to dictate when alt season really starts to rock and roll. And it's going to be at points of this larger head and shoulders that its neckline was projected from a smaller head and shoulders target we had, that's going to see altcoins, certainly the top 10, move to sort of 20% of the market cap. And you want to be positioned, I believe, for when that occurs. But that's really all I've got for you in this video. So a very interesting one, very compact. We've covered the general mood of things. We've covered the macro mood of things. And everything in between. And again, we are going to be making some more personal videos. I might go out for a walk and film it, give you guys a bit of a better backdrop and some scenery so you don't just have to look at my face. But we are going to be covering this kind of idea of decentralized computing and decentralized internet, essentially, the Internet of Things, and how, what the components of that are and the opportunities that they may bring. You know, in a gold rush, you want to be the person selling the shovels and the picks. And we think we've picked, pardon the pun, some of those altcoins. So that's all I've got for you guys. If you enjoy the content, likes, appreciate it. So as a comment, do check out the Patreon link in the description. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Catch you in the next one.